The University of the Free State and the University of Fort Hare have suspended all academic activities until further notice. This follows violent protests that resulted in some of the University of Fort Hare buildings being torched, with the damage said to be around the estimated range of 300 million to half a billion rand, I should say. Meanwhile, students at the University of Free State's Qwaqwa campus embarked on a protest against the institution's announcement to phase out provisional registration from next year. To give us more perspective and an update on the measures being taken to mitigate the situation at both the University of the Free State and the University of Fort Hare, we are joined by the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Buti Manamela. Minister, thank you. As always, thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning, Leah.
So let's get straight into it in terms of interventions that you have made in regard to the temporal suspension of academic activities at both University of Free State and University of Fort Hare after these student protest disruptions.
Well, firstly, I think we have to regret the fact that students have been injured, and some of the workers at the universities have also been injured as a result of this protest, and are quite concerned that these two universities, the students' protests were hijacked by elements which are clearly criminal. And I think, as you've said, with the University of Fort Hare, estimates have been done. We're getting the report from the University Council today on how they're going to, phase in, the academic project, so that all students who have been students at Fort Hare are able to complete their studies for this year. So that plan, the university said they'll be, sending us that plan today. But I think we're quite happy to, report that there is stability, a sense of stability at the University of Fort Hare, and that, certain issues, as I asked councils to look into, firstly, the resumption of the academic program, the safety of students, fixing up infrastructure, to ready it for students, but also to look at the relationship between the council itself and, the University Vice Chancellor together with the SRC. With regards to the University of Free State, I think, as you, also indicated, the university says they had to shut down because they were protecting property and people who were being injured, and both students, staff, and so forth. But as is now, yesterday I had an engagement with some of the stakeholders on campus, and led by the Vice Chancellor. They had some engagement. And, we are hoping that from those engagements, they will have a settlement. We're quite worried if there are policies which are intended, whether intentionally or unintentionally, to exclude students. There is a lot of pressure because of the cost of living going high, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of pressure on certain families, particularly those that are not covered by the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, on them to pay up for their university studies. So, so we're hoping that from today onwards, there is an agreement between the university and the SRC, and that as soon as possible, classes will resume and examinations will be written.
So, Minister, there are a lot of concerns from students as well. And one of the demands, but if we can just have a look for now at the University of the Free State, it's what they put forward, is that the institution must relook the 2026 pre-registry conditions for students who have an outstanding debt that's higher than 30,000 Rand. Have you been intervening on this particular concern of the students?
Well, specifically that, we obviously cannot instruct the university what to do, but what we encourage them to do, is to keep the doors open in terms of negotiations. We also try to reach out to the SRC also to remain on the, negotiations table together with management. So that's specifically that issue. We will, be engaging with all the universities, in the coming days to get to understand, as to what are the issues that relates to next year's academic period, especially issues that relates to student funding, but also the effect of student debt. I mean, about 6 years ago, government made a grant to universities to clear historical debt, but this has since accumulated. It now stands at about 23 billion rand, which indicates or signifies the demand for higher education and the need for, to find solutions in terms of, student funding, because more and more students, are indebted. And so we'll have to, confront this discussion at a national level, not just at the University of Free State.
Yeah.
So that discussion will have to continue. And I think, as I said, when we were, announcing our state of readiness, we said that one of the discussions will be this one. And, we will soon indicate as to what are the things that needs to be done in order to put in place a sustainable student funding model. Those effects may not be immediate, but we have to, as part of the stabilization of our institution, resolve the question of, historic debt.
It needs to be, because that's clearly one of the big demands. But that's University of Free State. I want to move over to the Fort Hare University, which I think is a much more complex issue, and perhaps you may disagree with me, but certainly when we hear both sides of the story from the students and from the university, particularly the Vice-Chancellor, there's certainly a lot going on. And I mean, following these student protests, that amount of damage, 300 million to 500 million is what it's estimated at. I mean, this is a historic institution, but unfortunately in recent years it's been plagued by cycles of violent episodes on campus and allegations of mismanagement, of fraud. The Vice-Chancellor saying that he felt that this was criminality and it was much bigger than what actually you were looking at. There were also other parties involved in this. Where are your investigations on Fort Hare University and what actually happened there?
Yeah. So, as soon as I was appointed as minister, I was inundated with, complaints around Fort Hare. And we sent a team from the university to investigate, from the department to investigate. And as soon as we were to present the report to the stakeholders on campus and to the University Council, then there was, fire on campus. As things stand now, we have met with the University Council on Friday, and the council itself met on Sunday to look at the issues which we raised with them, issues that relates to, alleged financial misconduct, the question of the maintenance of infrastructure, even so on and so forth, and the question of the contract of the Vice Chancellor. So we've asked them to to reflect on how they're going to resolve some of these issues and give us a report back. But over and above that, I must emphasize that there are investigations that are taking place by the Special Investigations Unit, and some of them being taking place, by the Hawks and South African Police Services, as it relates to some of the allegations that have been leveled against, senior management at the university. So it's a whole lot of processes. But as it relates to governance issues, we are going to be studying the response from the university subsequent to our meeting with them, and then announce measures that we put in place in order to remedy whatever governance challenges that the university we believe face.
Yeah, I mean, we know that last year the president signed 6 new and 2 amended proclamations authorizing the Special Investigating Unit to actually investigate allegations of corruption, maladministration in the affairs of Fort Hare University, including, and this is an important aspect, the awarding of degrees in a manner that was contrary to manuals, policies, and the university's procedures. When are we going to see this report? Because I think at the heart of all of this is perhaps where some of this is stemming from.
Yeah. Look, I mean, that's not in our hands. That's in the Special Investigations Unit's hand. They are giving us, periodic briefings. The next briefing that I'm having with the director of the SIU is sometime in November. And I think we, have encouraged them to complete these investigations because some of them are a source of instability at the University of Fort Hare. Our interest now, is for students to get back into their lecture hall, to write examinations, conclude examinations, and from there, I think we will deal with issues that relates to governance and so forth.
Two very quick fire questions at you. Number one, the academic year, because this is now, exams are expected at the end of this month, October. The end of this month is basically next week. What's going to happen?
Yes. Well, from like I said, with Free State, we're hoping that it's settled, and the Vice Chancellor, together with was indicating that they're having discussions with everyone else to try and restore the academic program. We'll still try to reach out to to the student representatives and everybody else to try and work together with the university management so that we can resume the academic period. And the scenes are quite saddening, and we hope not to see any of those. Similarly, with Fort Hare, we'll get a report today, but the indications from Fort Hare was that they will start phasing in, various platforms of learning from next week, including phasing in return of the rest of the students on campus next year. But I suggest that all students should await for reports from their institutions as it relates to when specifically are they to return to classes, and when specifically are they expected to write their exams. We are going to do everything, including engaging national students organizations, engaging with university managers in one room to try and avoid this situation for the rest of the academic year, but also for the academic year 2026.
Do you have $500 million to help them fix that campus? That's the reality.
We don't have. Actually, that's a very, yes. We spend about $1.5 billion of the $32 billion that is allocated to the sector. $1.5 billion of that was spent at the University of Fort Hare. And I think to see infrastructure go down into flames is quite saddening. The university will, of course, included in the report, should be how they're going to recover this. Yes, they may not tell us immediately, but we need to hear what their plans are. It's also quite sad because, if you see how many students got injured, how many workers got injured as a result of this protest, means that we urgently have to restore trust. We have to strengthen our conflict resolutions mechanism on campus, so that buildings and bullets do not become the solutions to problems. Scorching buildings and shooting bullets do not become the solution to resolving problems in our campuses.
Minister, thank you for talking to us. The Minister of Higher Education, Buti Manamela, and training, of course, is also under his portfolio, talking to us about the necessary measures being taken to reopen the University of the Free State, University of Fort Hare, after academic activities were suspended due to student protests. And I know the Minister is taking an oversight visit to NSFAS's offices in Cape Town. That's where he is, where he's looking at, of course, their operational failures and whether or not they are ready to assist students in the 2026 year.